evening, morning, afternoon, whatever it is when you watch this video. Well, finally happened, right? Trump got indicted, went up there. It's excited for some of us. Want to see what was going to happen, if anything, right? The most important thing that happened was Mr. Bragg's little talk after it all went down. So I'm going to start with that video before I get to all my points. Hope you enjoy as much as I did. The actual video is 20-something minutes long. I don't even think I got 7 minutes of it because he gets to asking questions, and his questions that he received, questions he got, probably ain't the ones I have, or at least the observations I have to bring the point. So, wasted enough of your time so far. Let's do it.
34 felony counts of falsifying business records in the first degree. Under New York State law, it is a felony to falsify business records with intent to defraud and an intent to conceal another crime. That is exactly what this case is about. 34 false statements made to cover up other crimes. These are felony crimes in New York State, no matter who you are. We cannot and will not normalize serious criminal conduct. The defendant repeatedly made false statements on New York business records. He also caused others to make false statements. The defendant claimed that he was paying Michael Cohen for legal services performed in 2017. This simply was not true. And it was a false statement that the defendant made month after month in 2017. April, May, June, and so on through the rest of the year. For 9 straight months, the defendant held documents in his hand containing this key lie, that he was paying Michael Cohen for legal services performed in 2017. And he personally signed checks for payments to Michael Cohen for each of these 9 months. In total, the grand jury found there were 34 documents with this critical false statement. Why did Donald Trump repeatedly make these false statements? The evidence will show that he did so to cover up crimes relating to the 2016 election. Donald Trump, executives at the publishing company American Media Incorporated, Mr. Cohen, and others agreed in 2015 to a catch and kill scheme. That is, a scheme to buy and suppress negative information to help Mr. Trump's chance of winning the election.
Does that sound familiar?
As part of this
Russiagate,
Donald Trump and
on your
others
laptop.
made 3 payments to people who claim to have negative information about Mr. Trump. To make these payments, they set up shell companies, and they made yet more false statements, including, for example, in AMI. American
Man looks
Media
tired or high. Can't
business
figure it
records.
out. Good for you.
One of the 3
President
people
Trump.
they paid to keep quiet was a woman named Stormy Daniels. Less than 2 weeks before the presidential election, Michael Cohen wired $130,000 to Stormy Daniels' lawyer. That payment was to hide damaging information from the voting public. The participant scheme was illegal. The scheme violated New York election law, which makes it a crime to conspire to promote a candidacy by unlawful means. The $130,000 wire payment exceeded the federal campaign contribution cap, and the false statements in AMI's books violated New York law. That is why Mr. Trump made false statements about his payments to Mr. Cohen. He cannot simply say that the payments were a reimbursement for Mr. Cohen's payments to Stormy Daniels. To do so, to make that true statement, would have been to admit a crime. So instead, Mr. Trump said that he was paying Mr. Cohen for fictitious legal services in 2017 to cover up actual crime committed the prior year. And in order to get Michael Cohen his money back, they planned one last false statement. In order to complete the scheme, they planned to mischaracterize the repayments to Mr. Cohen as income to the New York State tax authorities. The conduct I just described, and that which was charged by the grand jury, is felony criminal conduct in New York State. True and accurate business records are important everywhere, to be sure. They are all the more important in Manhattan, the financial center of the world. That is why we have a history in the Manhattan DA's office of vigorously enforcing white-collar crime. My office, including the talented prosecutors you saw at arraignment earlier today, has charged hundreds of felony falsifying business records. This charge, it can be said, is the bread and butter of our white-collar work. And fraud presents itself in all different forms here in Manhattan. We've charged falsifying business records for those who violated federal bank secrecy laws. We have charged falsifying business records for those who were seeking to cover up sex crimes. And we have brought this charge for those who committed tax violations. At its core, this case today is one with allegations like so many of our white-collar cases. Allegations that someone lied again and again to protect their interests and evade the laws to which we are all held accountable. As this office has done time and time again, we today uphold our solemn responsibility to ensure that everyone stands equal before the law. No amount of money and no amount of power changes that
Equal before the law.
American principle.
Biden's got all this
I'll now take questions.
unaccounted for money. Son's getting away with owning guns, being drug addict.
And again, we have limited time. Thank you. The first question will be Rick.
Thank you. Brittany Russell, why now? I mean, some argue that this is a political move. You're not going to be a political person. The floodgates are going to go into.
We conducted a thorough and rigorous investigation, as we're known to do, at the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. I've been doing this for 24 years and am no stranger to rigorous, complex investigations. I bring cases when they're ready. Having now conducted a rigorous, thorough investigation, the case was ready to be brought, and it was brought.
Mr. Bryant, the indictment says that there were 34 false business records. And it would then conceal another crime, but the indictment does not specifically say what those crimes were.
Alright, that was good, wasn't it? So, let me get to a few points I wanted to make. First off, I think that old Daniels woman should have got more money. Right? Because he wasn't president yet, which means he had all that money before he gave it up to run the country. It's always fun to keep in mind what he did just to be president. Right? Okay, now. Biden and the Biden family have been getting money from China longer than a minute. And even though there's some investigation going into it, I don't see nobody getting no indictments written up. Definitely no impeachment papers written up. Which will be a point later on I'm sure I'm going to make. Right? So, sit there and listen to all that, and you got questions. I didn't sit and listen for all the questions because, well, they're always out there saying, we've seen the memes, talked about them. I'm not in their way. Something. I'm in their way of getting to you. Pretty much the gist of it, right? So, when you hear people saying it's a threat to our democracy, what are they really saying? Well, I think it's best we go back to part of the plan that we can all understand. Either you can look at it as a conspiracy or things that are actually going on. And of course, let's not forget the infamous now is a tremendous time to restructure things to fit our vision. Okay, so yeah, before we get to it, one of my little notes is, the left is wanting the prisoners to have the right to vote, yet they're trying to put Donald Trump in jail or give him a criminal charge. I mean, you're racking up the felonies, right? That's if you have a felony charge, you can't vote. That's what they're trying to change. Don't make a whole lot of sense there, people, but good looking out. Good looking out. All right, so where am I? I got my own notes here. Oh yeah, going back to what we know, what we understand. COVID came out, right? Excuse me. All of a sudden, the world got sick overnight. Now we all know that doesn't happen. They wanted us to think that happened. So COVID broke out. They put us into lockdowns, right? Give us a 2-week flatten curve, whatever that was. Mask came out. So when the mask came out, somewhere during all this time, they're deciding who's essential and who's not. That's very important. They're right in front of us. We all fell for it. Oh, because I was like, oh, you're not going to make me go to work and you're going to pay me? Outstanding. I will sit right here and because you're going to cut me that check. Because they had to argue about everybody's value, how much their worth was. Now, I know some of you are like, well, no, they had to look at it, bills people had to pay, and, some people got behind on those bills. So anyways, then the vaccines came out, and then, I made the whole prediction again because restructure things fit our vision. I was on Facebook talking about it. I'm going to start asking for your vaccine papers just to go into a restaurant, movie theater, have my family yelling at me, you're crazy, blah, blah, blah. And of course, I was like, well, I hope you're right. In all honesty, I hope you're right. But obviously, they were not right. Unfortunately, I was. It's all very important. Okay. So, that was number 5. It's number 6. Now, he was up there talking about information suppression. All right. What were they doing during the Biden administration? Suppressing information about the Hunter laptop story. Trying to keep information suppressed on him. Perjuring people, being a liar and a racist. Biden, that is. Make sure everybody's clear on that. FBI was even involved. Big tech. All right, it happened. It's out there. It's on legitimate sources to watch. That's what they did. Reached out to the bigger guys. Hey, this is what you need to do. Oh, okay. That's what we're going to do. How much is that payment again? How am I going to be safe? So that's the question. What would they really get out of it? Some kind of safety net, right? All right, so with all that being said, let's go back to, the reset. Right, you've heard it said on the news. You're gonna have that reset. Democrats want to reset. Other countries, people in other countries want that new world order. Right, all these things going on. At whiplash again, but so the depopulation, you had the COVID and COVID vaccines, and the repopulation, open borders. We've covered that before, but they're doing all this. And at the same time all this stuff's going on, AI is becoming a thing. You got one of the smartest men out there, I'm assuming, Elon Musk, saying hit the brakes. They're getting advanced too quick or they're going to have the capability of doing so. Now, they're putting the warning out there, right? Now, some of us were so quick to go on that 2-week lockdown to flatten the curve, knowing there's going to be a check coming to sit on our Batutus. Let's think about AI. We already know that they can do our jobs. And they can do our jobs without getting paid. They just need maintenance every so what? I don't know. Upgrades, downgrades, whatever. Okay? All the work, none of the pay, none of the breaks. None of the complaining. None of any of that. So if robots and AI get to the point they're taking over all the jobs, okay, what are the people going to be doing? I can't help but think of some of those drug-riddled cities, people walking around like zombies and just waiting to die on the streets. People get bored, right? There's people just now waking up and welcome aboard. Some still trying to wake up, not really grasping everything, or putting it all together yet. Whatever it is. But the scary thing about AI, I was going through videos, and this guy had a program, and you give it a description, and it'll paint the picture for you. Even I think that sounds cool. Right, so this guy's going through the Bible. I quote in the Bible word for word, just putting enough in there and see what it come up with some birdie pictures. Right? So I figured, well, I got to try that myself. Right? So sure enough, I get the little thing. Here it is. You'll see the picture. All right. And I did a little bit of Revelation 6:8. I'm going to do my best. It's in my handwriting to read it to you. I don't think I'll put the verse up there, but and I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. Some of you heard that from a movie or two, I'm sure. Tombstone's one of them. Okay. And power was given to them over the four parts of the earth to kill with sword and with hunger and with death and with the beasts of the earth. Sounds fun, right? Fun to be religious. All kinds of things to be scared of, but also things to look out for. Which is fun. If you're not familiar with what Revelation is, it's at the end of the Bible. It's about the end times. So now you got people talking about resets, AI making a move. Even if they take a 6-month break, what are they going to fix in 6 months? I'm kind of like, well, what's a robot going to do anyways? I go get some water. I'll fix the robot. Right? Sure, we'll figure something out. Sword, something up. Cut it up. Throw some water on it. Be done with it. So all this is going on. Everything got centered around Trump. There's been the big warehouse catching fire. The whole thing. There's a female out there with a podcast, and she believes she's put it together to where, of course, the warehouse was caught on fire on purpose to make way, because I forget how she put it, something about the land. Now that that's happened, whatever it's deemed now, I forget the name of it, but anyways, they can move in and get that pipeline in there. Something they've been wanting to do for years, but for whatever reason, haven't been able to make that move. But now that the warehouse is out of the way, they can. Told you a little bit of that information. They say it was either her or someone in the comments. I believe it was her, though. She says something along the lines, if I'm on what I'm thinking on, then they'll literally do anything, even kill people, obviously, or whatever they have to do to get what they want. Well, if you haven't been paying attention, that's exactly what the left is doing. And we can't blame it on the right, because the right's doing absolutely nothing, which makes some of us extremely mad. See, some follow Q, thinking it's all part of this big plan. That's why the right's not doing nothing, because once everything falls in place, all these great things are going to happen. I'm all on board for great things happening. Do not get it twisted. The fact that there's so much faith being put in Trump, it makes me nervous. All right, but that's okay, because I'm going to vote for him anyways. The fact that, again, they're trying to make people with felons, right, able to vote, and yet you want to put the man in jail. Makes no sense. But the whole purpose of this video, and I better just get the point, it's getting kind of late, it's 10:58, April 4th, 2023. Son, if you see this video, it's too late now. Just kidding. But, why is he a threat to the democracy, and how is he in our way, as the memes would say? Or not, how is he in their way to get to us? Because they put a lot of focus and a lot of attention on Trump and trying to damage the man and get rid of him. We can all agree on that. The only thing I can come up with is why, obviously. But, so what does Trump have on them that is so bad they don't want him in office? Alright? Now, the only thing I can think of that makes sense to me without any conspiracy theory involved is He's not a politician. So he doesn't play the quid quo pro game. He doesn't owe them anything. Nothing. No favor, nothing. The fact that he was a Democrat donor, a huge one, is something I think we should all keep in the back of our minds when it comes to conspiracy theories and what's going on. Things falling in place, either knowingly or unknowingly. It's not what I'm here for. What I'm here for is the blatant obvious, going back through COVID lockdowns and show me your papers, if you got your vaccine. In the acting world, I'm still a nobody, right? So I told myself I wouldn't do anything but featured background, right? Because to be an actor, you need screen time. People need to see you, at the very least, hopefully hear you if you get a couple lines on the big movies, sets or whatever. But so that's even say I almost had my shot, but because I didn't have my vaccine, I wasn't able to do it, and they still trying to offer me just to be background. No, I mean I probably should have done it because maybe the director might have been nice enough to the casting director and all that, get me, put me in cut and all that. Maybe not. But if I'm good enough for the background but not good enough for featured all over a vaccine, then I'm just not good enough for the project. I shouldn't be there anyways if not having a vaccine paper is a problem. And on top of that, for this particular project, I was going to have to self-quarantine. I was going to be like in a hotel room. If I went on set, I wasn't able to leave. Food would have to be brought to me. Blah, 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 blah. It doesn't sound too bad, right? It almost sounds like being in jail, but with a whole lot more comfort and hopefully not worrying. Or if I dropped my soap, it wouldn't be a big deal, right? Oops, I'll get that, no problem. But back to it. So the left has openly shown, if you're not on board with him, this is what they're showing us with the Trump indictment, as far as I'm concerned. Forget all the flash and the jazz. What they're showing you, showing me, when they say if it can happen to him, it can happen to anybody. And I was like, well, I ain't got nothing to worry about. I ain't got nothing to worry about. No, what you're missing is, what I just told you, is Trump didn't fall in line. All right? So at some point, when they don't need you to be a transsexual, they don't need you to be gay, they don't need your abortions because they're cloning, right? They got the cloning down. So they get all that stuff they need from your abortions, right? They won't need them votes no more. You got AI doing all the work for us, right? Either we're getting stuff for free because it doesn't cost that much to get things in mass production, or they're still going to find a way to make us have currency. All right, that's the. I don't know if I got to the. It's my third time making a video. Here's what happened. I have a camera and all that other stuff. I was trying to just make it look better, see what it would look like. And buy stuff because I don't have a proper laptop, blah, blah, blah. I'm up back on my phone, long story short. Alright, so I don't know if I covered the whole endgame in the AI. I did cover Revelation. Yeah, I did. If I covered Revelation, then I covered AI in the endgame. So, try to get back to the point here. What they're showing us is, they're calling us Nazis and all that, right? So we know the person that farts, if you're a kid, if you're a child, if you fart, you're quick to blame someone else really quick for something you just did or what you're doing. Right? Look over here, but just don't look at me just for a second. Okay. Said that to say, you're calling us Nazis and racists and all that, when if you look at some of the people on the left, they are clearly racist. You had whatever, they went up north, they bring race into it, but she was black, but she was telling her voters to get in the face of Republicans and all that, push them, shove them, do whatever you have to, get in the face, be loud, hit them, get violent, basically. And all the things they've done to Trump, trying to impeach him, get it out of the way, either he has something on him or the fact that he doesn't play politics. So, like I said, once they don't need your votes anymore, now it's, here it comes, they're being Nazis, all right, and they're showing the world, first off. And China, who's been paying the Bidens money for a while, I think they're just making way for China and get used to us under communist rule, because they're telling us how to think, what to say, what we can and can't do with our bodies, what we can and can't do with our children, where we should and shouldn't go because of global warming, right? All these factors playing together to create control. That's the bottom line. But right now, with their Nazism, they're saying if you don't get in line with them, this is what they're capable of. So if they can put a president, ex-president of the United States in jail, even over something that's expired as far as the time goes, with a person that's key witness went to prison for lying under oath, when all this is going on, Trilogy Raymond's warehouse is on fire, you know, all kinds of stuff, to keep you from realizing that they're doing these Nazi things, showing us that if we don't submit, then we're looking to lose the freedoms we know to the new reality they want. But as long as they keep everyone fighting each other and making the transgender community think they care about you, I promise you they don't. They just don't. Because they don't care about anybody. They care about their pockets. So they don't need the gay votes anymore, because I'm here to tell you nobody cares. When they don't need the black community vote anymore, well, that's always probably going to be there because they're going to keep racism alive. But until you're not like trying to come for our guns because there's mass shooting at schools. We all know if every gun owner went to killing people for no reason, there'd be probably a whole lot of dead unarmed people, a whole lot more for sure. So it's not the guns that are the problem, it's the people that are getting their hands on guns that's the problem, and that's just common sense. It doesn't even take education. As long as you know it takes a person to pull that trigger to make it go off. And there's those every now and again that can, you drop and it goes off, but it's not going to drop and bounce and do cartwheels and backflips around a school and randomly hit however many people. It's not how guns work. So he's in the way to show us what they're doing to him, the reason they keep giving him such a hard time. It's not just him. They're doing it to us. And as much as I followed that one day, 4 hours, whatever, the CEO TikTok getting drilled, we've allowed them to get access to our information because of 9/11 a long time ago. Follow us, listen to us, and what we're doing. And they had a great pretext because of a terrorist threat they allowed to happen. Okay. If you can't get behind that theory, spy balloon. Okay. Maybe they got through a little bit. I don't know. So Phil, love Trump, hate Trump. It doesn't really matter. All right. But he is not in their way because they are using him as an example of what's coming for us, first off, that are Trump supporters. Don't buy into the pronouns and the socialism and communism, even though they're just about to let them just walk right in. You really think Biden's going to put up a fight? Just ask yourself. I'm not trying to put fear into you, but just ask your question. Ask yourself the question, do you really think the Biden administration is going to do anything to China if they try to come over here? First off, Biden owes them something. They got something for that money, or they're owed something for that money. And these are the answers we need, not how many times somebody didn't say, this is going to this person for whatever reason. All right, we're all going through the safe assumption and conclusion, I never followed it, that probably had sex with a ex-porn star. So what, first off? That's between him and his wife. It's not us. He wasn't president, not at the time. Well, it's where the money went. Well, what about all that money that Biden received from China? How about all that? And that's what the media is trying to make you think, that the left doing this, that's going to make the right do it. No, the right's not doing nothing. They haven't done anything for 3 years. We, the people, are failing ourselves and failing the country because we're waiting on the government that's been failing us ever since we've been alive. One way or the other, they have failed us time and time again. That's truth. Let it settle in. Okay. So that, you call it what you want. Break laws, yeah, you should go to jail if you break law. Firm believer, I don't care who you are. But when you're putting people in jail for a bigger political reason than it's Trump, right? If Trump's like any other person in government, and he's a representative of the people, the way they're supposed to be, then they just indicted the whole country under the rule of law. If you don't toe the line the way we want you to do things, talk how you want us to talk, our way or the highway, literally. So if you're asking yourself why they keep picking on Trump and keep messing on Trump and blah, 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 because he said he stood for America and America's values and to make America great again, and they are showing you what's going to happen for even considering it. So once they're done with him and their agenda gets pushed a little bit further and a little bit harder through little creaks and crevices of pronouns and going after our kids, I mean, that's just insane. That's a whole nother video for sure. I don't even want to talk about it, but because it brings up hate. We don't want to have hateful thoughts, but we do need our thoughts clear and open to see what is coming on the chessboard. 50-50 shot in the way it's going to go come election time, right? He is not in the way as much as he is an example. I could be wrong. Track record looks pretty good on some of my conspiracies, like the vaccine papers. It's the only one I can think of here lately because that's the easiest piece together that we all know about. We've all seen it and heard about it, surely. So, enjoy your night. We're next.